This is ABC15 Mornings.
Part 2 in our politically charged investigation why Phoenix police is being accused of abusing power.
Also, Maricopa County receiving 0 doses of the Pfizer vaccine this week. What that means for people who already had appointments to roll up their sleeve. We've got a lot to get to on this Saturday morning, but we're glad you're starting it off with us. I'm Nohe Graf, working from home.
And I'm Mark Thompson here in studio. And Nohe, it is a little chilly out there, but compared to that winter blast they've been hit with back east, I really couldn't fix my lips to complain when I was in shirt sleeved and walked from my car into the building. I almost complained, but I was like, no, this is still pretty good compared to that.
It is true. Your family would be mad at you. I know mine would be. It'd be like, get over it, enough already. Especially because what we end up seeing in the middle of the afternoon. So you're right, it is chilly out there. But here's what we can expect as we move through the rest of the day and the weekend. We've got a gorgeous weekend on tap. This is our Goldilocks weather, our bragging rights weather. Our highs are going to be in the 70s, low 70s at that. So that's really our sweet spot. We are going to see some more clouds stream in next week. But will that mean any rain for the Valley forecast? Again, I'll talk about it in just a little bit, but here's that planner. 73 is the forecast side today, just a degree warmer for your Sunday with mostly sunny skies tomorrow. So if you want to get out early this morning, get your run on. Just like Mark says, it is chilly as you step out the door. Certainly by Valley standards, it's cold for us. We're in the low 40s, so just make sure you're layering up, but you'll be peeling those layers later this afternoon. We'll talk more about the changes in temperature coming up in that full, most accurate forecast in just a little bit.
We want to bring you the next chapter right now in our politically charged investigation. Yesterday morning, we introduced you to these 3 people. They're charged as gang members for joining a protest against Phoenix police. They're facing up to 30 years in prison. Phoenix police and the Maricopa County Attorney's Office claim that they're more dangerous than notorious gangs like the Crips and Bloods. Community groups and legal experts, however, say that's outrageous and an obscene abuse of power. This morning, ABC 15 investigator Dave Biscobing takes you deeper inside this political prosecution and reveals what those charged are calling the hypocrisy of Valley law enforcement.
If you haven't seen our first report about the gang charges and these, quote, gang members, please do. But this story is less about the defendants and more about the officers and the prosecutor bringing the case.
One of the first things we want to address
among these signs
is the slippery slope.
The message of Reverend Reginald Walton echoes loudest against the Maricopa County Attorney's Office.
Targets Black and Latino people who are exercising their First Amendment rights.
Reverend Walton, the ACLU, community groups like Poder in Action, and other activists in attendance.
And so we stand in solidarity with those who are exercising their voices.
They're here to challenge the arrest of 18 protesters, now labeled and charged as a criminal street gang.
And who are speaking truth to power, regardless of the political prosecution, regardless of the terror that has been inflicted on this community.
On October 17, 2020, this group marched in downtown Phoenix, huddled together, carrying umbrellas, chanting. Dozens of officers and vehicles in tow. To slow and annoy the police, some members tipped cones, toppled temporary street signs, dragged barriers. In this video, one of them released a toy smoke maker, the same kind you can buy for gender reveal parties. The whole thing lasts roughly a half an hour, and it ends here at First Avenue in Van Buren. The group slows, huddles, forms a dome with their umbrellas. They were indicted on multiple charges: rioting, aggravated assault, obstructing a thoroughfare, and the street gang charges. Suvarna Ratnam is one of the alleged gang members.
It's completely insane.
She was previously arrested at another protest in August.
Take the stand.
And it's because of that previous arrest we're here in court. The county attorney's office is trying to keep her locked up without bond before trial. And because of that, the state has to lay out its evidence against her. And this hearing gives us an inside glimpse at their case. The prosecutor is April Sponsel. The Phoenix officer, Sergeant Doug McBride.
I am the Downtown Operations Training Sergeant / Grenadier Sergeant. I am basically in charge of all of the non-lethal Grenadier munitions that are deployed during civil unrest.
McBride's team was out there on October 17th, ready for the group.
We were staged.
How did you guys even know that this group was going to be there that day?
There was intelligence through social media and other networks that said that they were going to meet at that park at that time.
Were they yelling or saying?
Yes, they were.
What were they yelling or saying?
I believe it was ACAB, and then the group would respond, "All cops are bastards."
Do you know where that came from?
We have been dealing with it since May, since these protests started. It was a specific group of individuals that identified themselves as being part of All Cops Are Bastards, or ACAB.
ACAB, or All Cops Are Bastards, is not unique, not to Phoenix, not even the U.S. It's a protest chant that goes back almost 100 years. But we confirmed Phoenix police and MCAO claim the group is a gang for 3 reasons. 1, because they chanted ACAB. 2, they dressed in black. 3, they carried umbrellas.
They utilized large umbrellas to surround the outside perimeter of the group so we couldn't see what they're doing.
How else would they use them?
They're used to assault officers. They're used to conceal criminal behavior, to basically gain an advantage over law enforcement.
Umbrella. Have you seen this tactic used in the past?
Yes, they try every tactic they can to protect each other from the police and inflict as much pain as they can on us.
Now, speaking of inflicting pain during arrests, ABC15 obtained records and photos that show McBride and his grenadiers have celebrated hurting protesters. They even made a trophy when they shot a man in the groin. That's the topic of our next report. But back to this case, and more about prosecutor April Sponsel.
Do you have concerns about her?
I do, yeah. I think being married to a police officer is an obvious conflict of interest. I can't see how it wouldn't be.
Amy Caper is one of the alleged gang members. Through her attorney, she filed a motion to disqualify Sponsel from the case. The main reason? Sponsel is married to a DPS state trooper, and DPS shot and killed Deon Johnson in May 2020.
Part of our protest was, a huge part of it was about the killing of Deon Johnson, and there was no justice found for that.
MCAO and Phoenix police got the gang charges through a grand jury, a confidential, one-sided process hidden from the public. But we confirmed the secret testimony they told the jurors, and it is truly unbelievable. Court records show the state called a police witness to testify that ACAB was just as dangerous, and in many ways more dangerous, than notorious gangs like the Crips and the Bloods. That's like saying people like Amy are more dangerous than a pair of gangs who've committed an estimated 15,000 homicides.
She's actually prosecuted real criminal street gangs. In fact, if you Google her name, you will see that she got an award for dismantling some local group of the Bloods, I think.
I did see that.
Right.
I think that also shows a clear pattern of overreach and a clear pattern of bias on her part.
The court denied Amy's motion. But in the motion, she also called out the, quote, obvious double standard of Valley law enforcement to choose who to target and who to tolerate. And based on what we saw at the U.S. Capitol, and especially here in Arizona after the election, it is not lost on those like Reverend Walton, who are outraged by the gang charges.
You did not see charges come out of the brutality and the horror that we saw.
We all saw what happened at the U.S. Capitol, but that's in D.C. In Arizona, in recent months, pro-Trump crowds overwhelmed the building where votes were being counted. Some even got inside. No arrests. Some threatened media and others outside. In front of officers, no arrests. Obstructed streets, no arrests. At Arizona's Capitol on January 6th, some set up a guillotine, officers smiling as they walked by. These men brought an armored vehicle, and others rode horses in the street. No arrests, no gang charges.
Well, Judge,
But back to Suvarna's hearing. You're about to see her attorney cross-examine Sergeant McBride. And remember, they claim the group is a gang officials call ACAB, specifically because they chant, all cops are bastards.
I watched the video. Didn't they say other things during the time they were walking down the street?
I'm sure they did.
Did you hear them say Black Lives Matter?
Not personally, no.
Black Lives Matter! Okay, well, did you watch the video with sound on it?
Yes.
And about the umbrellas.
Are used for them to protect themselves from being pepper sprayed?
That's one example of use.
Now, another different person in the group did have a rifle slung from their shoulder during the protest.
You said there was an individual with an AR-15 at the scene that day, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anything illegal about having an AR-15?
No.
Okay. Was that person a prohibited possessor?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Did that person ever point an AR-15 at any officer or threaten to point an AR-15 at any officer?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So you would agree with me then that AR-15 did not calculate into your factoring of charging of rioting, correct?
Correct.
We are an open carry state. You are free to carry a gun.
The judge then says she didn't see anything the protesters did as evidence of violence.
The court does not believe that that was a threat of violence.
Here's Prosecutor April Sponsel's final plea to the judge to keep Suvarna locked up without bond.
Frankly, she is a threat to our community. She's a threat to the officers out there in the street. She's a threat to regular, normal members of the community.
It's untrue and it's insane.
And the judge wasn't swayed either.
If there is nothing further, thank you everyone for your time.
She ruled Suvarna could be released.
You know, my client's a Harvard student. She's never been arrested before. She's not a gang member. She's, you know, she wasn't jumped into anything. She doesn't spend her time terrorizing people. You don't have to worry about walking down the street and seeing her.
I'm investigator Dave Biscobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
And the Maricopa County Attorney's Office has declined to discuss specific evidence in this case, but in a written statement, County Attorney Alistair Adele said, in part, I fully support everyone in the exercise of their First Amendment rights, but I will not allow criminal conduct disguised as protest activity to harm our community. No hate.
Still to come for you this morning, we have a new warning about a popular allergy medication. The Valley family who says it does more harm than good. Plus, tomorrow, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, the local company helping the NFL fill the stands with some friendly faces.
Thanks for watching ABC 15 Arizona, streaming 24/7 on Roku and these streaming devices.
Welcome back, everybody. About 25,000 fans are expected inside Raymond James Stadium for the big game tomorrow, but we'll be seeing a lot more than that, courtesy of a company in Tempe. Blue Media was tapped by the NFL to make 30,000 fan cutouts for the big game. They use massive printers and cutters to make these unique cutouts featuring faces from all over the country. For $100, fans could upload a picture online with the proceeds all going to charity. The company says that they've made some cutouts before, but never at this scale.
To be able to actually do something to let fans get their face in the stadium and on TV that would have realistically never had another chance to get there, and proceeds going to charity while we're getting paid for it and get to work on the biggest game on the planet, we're really, really blessed and super humbled.
Blue Media is no stranger to Super Sunday. They've worked with the NFL before on signage and other things for a half dozen other Super Bowls. And Nohe, I wonder if they now have bragging rights, those fans, to say that they were at the big game.
Right, exactly. I mean, no one's going to mince words over that. And what a cool way to be there that they'll be able to say, you know, potentially they were the only ones to ever get to do that. I also feel like it's going to add a little bit to the home field advantage for Bruce Arians, because if anybody wears their Bird Gang gear, you know, and still sports that Cardinals gear, hey, we got some ties to BA here in the Valley. So I think that'll, you know, bring a smile to his face too. It's going to be so much fun to watch.
You won't be cheering for them though in your household. I know that much.
No, afraid not. I mean, I do love me some BA, I'm not going to lie, but this is a Chiefs household, much like many of our coworkers. Right. We are diehard Chiefs fans, so that's where we'll be. We just want a good game, so that'll be great. And we've got a winning forecast to go with it this weekend, so make sure before you log those hours in front of the TV, whether you're watching the Phoenix Open on TV today or the Super Bowl tomorrow, that you make some time to get outside and enjoy our gorgeous forecast. In fact, first thing this morning, if you've got to take the dog out for a walk, it is chilly out there. You're going to want to bundle up. You're going to need some layers here. But by the middle of the afternoon, oh my goodness, it's going to be a gorgeous day out at the dog park. And even if you wait until later this evening, it'll be great weather. This is our bragging rights time. Check out our valley temperatures right now. You can see what I'm talking about with that cold start and why you'd need a long sleeve, certainly by our valley standards, because as I thought, we have dropped a few more cities down into into the 30s. Gilbert is now at 39 degrees. Chandler sitting at 36 degrees. Maricopa is right at the 40-degree mark along with Santan Valley, so I think that you could cross over into the upper 30s this morning as well. We've got the mid-40s up in Anthem and Cave Creek. Statewide, it's another frigid morning up in the high country. We don't have any single digits, which is a nice change, but we are in the teens at the Grand Canyon and in Flagstaff, mid-20s in Window Rock, and not far above freezing in Page. We're below freezing, though, in Show Low and pretty close to it in Prescott this morning. If you are going to be out and about today and you're an allergy sufferer, juniper is still our main allergen. It's going to be in the moderate category, low end of the moderate range through the weekend, higher end of the moderate range as we move through the middle of the week. So just make sure you know how to balance your medications for that so that you're not sniffling and sneezing too much. As for those temperatures, here's how we get through the morning. We're in the 40s through about 9 o'clock. Then we're in the 50s for a short time, because then by lunchtime, we're already crossing over into the 60s. With clear sunny skies, it would be a gorgeous day to take a picnic and go to a park somewhere, eat outside, just do something to enjoy this gorgeous forecast. Our high today is going to be 73, and that is a couple of degrees above the average for this time of year. Not even close to the record, though. If you can imagine, back in the 60s, we actually came close to 90 degrees on this day. We are not ready for that. So here's a look at who will hit 73, mostly in the East Valley, a degree cooler over in the West Valley, and staying in the upper 60s in the northern portion of the valley in Anthem and Cave Creek. Across the state, very similar temperatures to our south, 71 in Casa Grande, 72 to our west in Quartzsite and Bullhead City. Yuma's going to come close to 80 in the upper 70s. And then north of the rim is still where we'll find our coolest temperatures in the low 50s in Show Low, Flagstaff, and Window Rock. Now, Futurecast is showing us these crystal clear skies statewide all day today. And then tomorrow morning, a few clouds will stream in. Then we'll have mostly cloudy skies, I should say, by the middle of Sunday afternoon, but no moisture coming out of it. We're staying dry statewide, and our temperatures will get just a little bit warmer, climbing into the mid-70s to round out the weekend and start that new work week. But then we do have more clouds streaming in, so I'll show you what that means for the 7-day and our temperatures coming up a little bit later this morning, Mark.
All right, no, hey, thank you. Well, happening in our community, a raise on the way for Fry's food employees in Arizona. The chain just finalizing a 3-year contract with the local union. It will impact more than 19,000 people. Some employees could see their wages that is, increase as much as $3,000 a year. Now, this comes at a time when some of the company's other stores are closing over pay issues. Fry's is owned by Kroger's, which just shut down 2 locations in California due to a new local mandate requiring hazard pay for some essential workers. Well, we're coming up on 6:19 now. Is your child socializing enough while learning from home? The red flags parents need to look out for. Plus, celebrating Black History Month, the local restaurant offering deals for Super Bowl Sunday.
When it comes to remote learning, the concern for a lot of parents is twofold. There's the academic impact long-term, which a lot of kids can recover from, but also the social impact. Joining us this morning is Dr. Andrea Raby. She is the Vice President of Psychiatry at Bayless. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Raby. Talk to me a little bit about some of the issues associated with kids not being socialized inside a classroom setting, especially when it comes to elementary aged kids.
So socialization has, for some of us, come to that face-to-face halt, but it doesn't mean that socialization has to stop altogether. We really, really have a very unique position, in my opinion, where we have social media. Back in my day, we didn't have that, right? We didn't have cell phones, we didn't have, computers, not to date myself, but so I think that it's incredibly advantageous right now. We need to take that into consideration and utilize that and realize, you know what? True, we can't see somebody face to face, but sometimes the next best thing is doing this through FaceTime or through Zoom meetings and really having a group together, because it's not just about one-on-one, which is important to open up to people and to forge those relationships, but it's really important as well to work on our socialization skills through group dynamics.
So how can we safely socialize our kids while still social distancing?
When we are in classes face-to-face, we derived a huge benefit from group projects, right? Getting to know each other individually and each other's academic strengths and weaknesses. So really trying to just use the face-to-face as a foundation and trying to extrapolate that to social media, making these Zoom meetings and having maybe even study groups. We could make social play dates, if you will, on social media, even doing something like library groups. I mean, some kids, when they're younger like that, used to love to go to the library and have story time, right? So looking at your local community and seeing if the library is doing some sort of Zoom or media event to have a reading group, because even though your child will be by themselves, they might still be in a forum of other children in the library reading group, just as an example.
Any skills that we should be focusing on at home so that kids are better prepared to socialize when they get back into that traditional classroom environment, things like sharing and making friends?
I think it's super important to look at different types of socialization. So you're right, sharing, but sharing can occur within academic settings, and it can occur with your siblings or with your friends. And even to have a bullet point list of certain things, what really goes into socialization, getting along with other people, waiting your turn, and sharing, as you mentioned. And even though it sounds somewhat regimented, I think it's important to have those types of bullet points in your mind because they're not out there doing that.
How about red flags that parents should be watching for that might indicate my kid isn't just independent, they're actually suffering from not socializing?
The more we stay in, the less practice we have to go out. And if we don't practice those socialization skills in home, in creative ways, then it might theoretically be more important or more difficult to go outside of the house once we can, because we're just not used to it. We're not used to honing in on those face-to-face relationships. So look for signs of anxiety, look for signs of sort of over-attachment, if you will, to where they want to be by your side all the time, especially elementary kids, especially the kids in that sort of younger demographic that maybe had anxiety pre-COVID.
It's so easy for parents to get overwhelmed, but it certainly is also important for us, it seems, to look at the bright side too. This is an opportunity to really get to know our kids again.
We would come home from work and we would know them in the nighttime. But now we have this wonderful opportunity to know them during the day and all day. And I've heard parents say this before, and I think that getting to know them and opening up that other dimension of their day is so important and so heartfelt as a parent myself, that you can get to know them and hear their conversations, maybe through, on social media, and then creating that safe environment that we said before, earlier, so they do feel more comfortable saying, oh, hey, and in passing, I talked to so-and-so today, you'll never guess what happened. And so it's such a cherished thing. I've noticed as well, that we can know the nighttime and we can know the daytime.
Excellent tips that hopefully will put some parents' minds at ease. Dr. Raby, thank you for your time.
It's 6:27 now on your Saturday morning. New concerns about facial recognition technology and how you can check if your social media photos have been harvested. We'll be right back.